Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives, but not just any episode, a very special video. And yes, indeed, it is the update to Blossom Choice. Let's go, y'all! It's a good day. So guys, as you always know, gonna be a pretty long video, but the most informational video that I'll ever make on this YouTube channel. It is the most informational series that I will ever have, probably. So get yourself a nice jug of milk or water or anything, Pop-Tarts, granola bars. If you're healthy like me, then maybe some veggie chips or literally just actual broccoli, steamed or maybe stir-fried with a little bit of garlic. Oh, that's nice. But anyway, guys, get yourself comfortable. It is indeed Blossom Choice PL18 time. It is the big one, boys. A lot of you guys have been asking when I was going to update Blossom Choice, and today is the day. The thing is, I don't like to update Blossom Choice too often because that's what makes it special, you know what I mean? In between the last 3 Blossom Choices, this being the newest and the third, the first 2 were a year apart and only 1 car update apart. The second to the third, this being the third, were only 5 months apart, but we've had 3 updates, and I think there is enough meat and potatoes now for me to dive into new season of Blossom Choice, where we're going to be including cars from Amalfi Coast, in Enter the Black Forest, Lock to Lock, as well as Learn the Savannah Way. But I think there are pretty much only 2 Learn the Savannah Way cars that made it into this list. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna turn off my camera and enjoy the ride, man. We're gonna have a good time. Blossom Choice PL18, let's get it. First of all, special thanks to everyone that helped me with this. Obviously, it is called Blossom Choice, but it ain't nothing without the help of my patrons as well. A lot of you guys came out to help, especially Lee. So his Instagram is down there as well. He provided a lot of the times and quality control to make sure that I didn't mess anything up. Because you know me, man, I'm more thorough with my stuff than Hutch will ever be. That's a low bar, though, to be fair. Oliver as well. He is the reason why you will see the Nissan R33 in here. And last but not least, I just wanted to give a shout out to Val. I don't know, he said something probably. And also special thanks to Beamer and Groguess. When I did the soft launch, basically I posted Blossom Choice before, this video. And maybe I should also add Sofani in there because he did add the Regera. But it is a bit too late, Sofani, if you're watching. I love you, okay? But yes, those guys also helped out. But anyway, guys, let's get into it. Blossom Choice, we are going to start off with the Commons, my most favorite rarity. Haha, I'm joking. Alright, guys, so these are the Commons. Now, what I will say is this: a lot of the cars from the PL15 Blossom Choice video have decided to stay because they are still some of the best. So really what I'm going to do in this video is highlight the new additions and also why I decided to add the new cars. So when it comes to the Commons, as you can see over here, we have 5 new additions. The Fiat Seicento, we say hello to the Morgan EV3, we also say hello to the Audi Coupe GT, the Fiat Punto Sporting, and the Lancia Flavia. So one thing about Blossom Choice, it isn't the first time making, and also eliminations. We are saying goodbye to the Chevrolet Tahoe, the Citroen ZX, the Bristol Zagato, the Peugeot 402, and the Ford Escort. Now, I will give you my reasons for why I added the 5 cars and also why I eliminated the 5 particular cars. So, one good thing about Blossom Choice is that I've made this for years now. Blossom Choice has been around for a very long time. So, I don't really need to necessarily start from scratch. Usually, what I would do is, I would compare the new cars, the ones that look like they have potential, and compare them to current Blossom Choice cars already. And this is why I'm introducing Star Duels. These are basically new cars, new challengers trying to take over what used to be Blossom Choice. So straight up, as you can see, the Peugeot 402 Dalmat is out because the Lancia Flavia is the better car now. Now, the Lancia Flavia has been in the game for a very long time, but it has not been RQ10 for very long, but now it is. And as you can see, it beats the Peugeot on the half mile, the 1 mile, the 0 to 100, the 0 to 120, the test bowl. It is just the better RQ10 dragster. So that is going to be your new Blossom Choice car. And also for the Fiat Punto Sporting, taking over the Vulcan. Now, the Vulcan has been a Blossom Choice car for an incredibly long time. So yeah, finally the car has been dethroned and the Punto is now the better car. The best thing about the Punto, best car for city street, small and medium. Also very strong on the twisty circuit, the slalom test karting circuit, indoor karting, hairpin, and the G-force. Very strong car. The Vulcan is still very good though. Like guys, one thing that you need to bear in mind is that these eliminations, that doesn't make them bad cars. If you are eliminated from Blossom Choice, it's like, I don't know what's a good analogy to put it. Like, maybe you just lost the rank of Jedi Master, but you're still good to be a Jedi Knight as long as you don't turn out to be what Anakin became. But it's still very good. Like the Peugeot and the Citroen, these are still very good cars. It's just that there are better alternatives now. Next up, I want to talk about high performance. So obviously this is a time where I can highlight cars that have always been in Blossom Choice. So not an addition, not an elimination, just a mainstay. And you know, those mainstays would be cars like the Nissan 260, as you can see over here, as well as the Honda Beat. As you can see, the Honda Beat isn't as dominant as it used to be. That's going to be the case with a lot of new cars, because as more and more cars come to the game, you kind of have to share the table, you know, with more and more newcomers, and so you might not be super dominant in everything. There are still cars out there that are still dominant in absolutely everything. The Peugeot 306 Maxi, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So Honda Beat, I mean, it's still really, really strong. I mean, it's the best for the car park, the indoor karting, and the slalom. Then the Nissan 260Z, which is, you know, your go-to for the G-Force, the karting circuit, twisty road. Very, very strong. But I also want to take this time to highlight the Morgan EV3, which is the best car for the Canyon Tour, which we don't see too often, and the Hairpin Road, which is very impressive considering that it is cheaper to use than some of the cars that you're going to see over here. We also have some RQ19s at the bottom, because I also want to just do everything in one shot with the commons, not only showing the twisties, but also showing the fast. So on the fast side of things, as you can see, the Monte Carlo still remains the best for the quarter mile and the half mile, and the Fuego Turbo is the best for the 1 mile as well as the 0 to 100. So both of these cars, they've been Blossom Choice and they're going to remain there. But this also shows you why I've decided to remove the Bristol Zagato. The Bristol Zagato isn't really much anything anymore. It's just the best for the 0 to 100, which is the track that you don't see very often, as well as the test bowl. That's it. It's just the best for the test bowl now. I'd rather just go with the Fuego Turbo as well as the Monte Carlo. Also wanted to put in the lock-to-lock Morgan Plus 4 Super Sports to see how well it will perform, and as you can see, the answer was not well at all. Now, moving on, we're going to look to city performance. The best two cars are also going to make Blossom Choice. City Street Small, the winner goes to the Audi Coupe GT, and City Streets Medium, the winner goes to the Fiat Punto Sporting. So both of those cars do make the cut. The Citroen is definitely out. When it comes to wet performance for the common cars up to PL18, best of the cars, well, once again, nothing much has changed. The Volvo 1800, the Nissan Micra, and the Vista Cruiser are still the best options to use. The Micra is what I would like to go for the City Streets Medium, and the Vista Cruiser for the City Streets Small. And as you can see, the Vista Cruiser is also very strong on the fast circuit, and it is pretty strong on the hairpin road. But really, the best car to use over here would be the 1800 ES, which is the best for the hairpin, the karting, the twisty circuit, the twisty road, the mountain hairpin, and the Monaco hairpin. So a very, very, very strong car. There are some, you know, close hitters like the Chevrolet Spark and the Jazz. They kind of have a little bit of green in their name. Well, the Jazz doesn't, but the Spark does. But they just missed the mark. Also, one thing to take note is that the MG Midget is actually the best option for the G-Force, which is quite interesting. So it's a very good car. I don't think it will make Blossom Choice just off that one track set, kind of like how the Bristol didn't make it because it was only good on the test bowl. But it is still a very strong car for you to take note of. If you have the MG Midget, make sure to keep it in your garage. Now we move on to the best uncommons. What are the new and what are the old, and what are the ones that are kind of going away? So first of all, as you can see, a lot of mainstays. A lot of cars kind of staying from the last Blossom Choice, like the Dodge D100, the Chrysler 300H, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, as well as the Cornet, the Mistral. So I'm going to talk about the cars that stayed first, because I'm not going to be showing you a lot of their times. The Slingshot, still a twisty king. It saves you a lot of RQ, only RQ25. When it comes to the uncommon drag meta, basically you want the Coronet for the quarter mile, you want the Boss for anything longer, like the 1 mile, and then you want the Mistral for the test bowl. And then if it comes to the drag meta for lower RQ uncommon, so basically if you don't have enough RQ to put in a 26 or a 29, then for the quarter mile and the half mile, you want to run the Dodge D100 and the Chrysler 300H, and for the 1 mile and the test bowl, you want to be using the Mercedes 300 SL. All of these cars are staying because nothing from Savannah, none of those Moneros are actually better than any of the cars that you see over here, like the D100, the 300 SL, and the Chrysler 300H. Also, when it comes to that twisty meta, a lot of cars stay, like the Europa 47 twin cam, as well as the Saturn Sky, and obviously the king of the crop, the Nissan Leaf Nismo. So I want to talk about additions. We say hello to 5 new cars cars: the Holden Suburban, the Alfa 155, the Lancia Fulvia Sport, the Pontiac Fiero, and the Citroen CX GTI. That also means that we say goodbye to 5, where it is the Oldsmobile Starfire, which obviously got a heavy nerf, the BMW 635, which used to be in Blossom Choice because it used to be a very good hybrid and the best car for the fast circuit, but I'm kind of taking away, like, if you're just the best for one track set now, you're not really worth that Blossom Choice title anymore. Land Rover Discovery 2 getting directly replaced with the Suburban, the Elan, as well as the Peugeot 406 being a pretty decent hybrid, all getting replaced. So let's talk about high performance. So this is a PL15 photo. I just want to let you guys know this is a PL15 photo, but the only reason why I'm showcasing this is because I did do a comparison adding the new cars from the new updates, and none of them could make a dent. Like I said, the Coronet, the Mustang Boss, and not the Maserati Mexico, that's an old photo, so the Mistral is the best for the testable now. The Mistral's not in this comparison, but those 3 cars are your best options. Nothing from those new 3 updates have triumphed them, so I didn't even put in the new picture. Those are still the best. Moving on now, we have Twisty Performance. Once again, old photos, because nothing beats the Europa and the Saturn Sky, and there is one car missing here, guys, and that is indeed the Nissan Leaf Nismo. The only reason why I didn't put the Nissan Leaf Nismo in this comparison is because if I did, it would take all of the golds. It would make the Saturn Sky and the Lotus Europa look horrible. So I took it away. The Leaf Nismo is still the king of the crop, but when that's taken out of the equation, then the Twin Cam and the Saturn Sky are also very strong cars, so I really wanted to highlight that. Once again, nothing from the new updates really kind of took anybody's attention, besides, and as you can see I put in brackets over there, the RQ28 Monaro CV6. It basically is a better version of the BMW 635 CSI now, being the best car for the fast circuit. That being said though, I took out the 635i and it was the best for the fast circuit. I gave that slot away to the Citroen, being the best front wheel drive dragster, so I'm not going to put in the CV6 for that reason as well, but it is a very strong car. I would recommend collecting the E28 Monaro CV6. Now moving on now to wet performance. Now we got a new PL18 sheet here because there are some new cars. The Lancia Fulvia Sport 1600 is a very strong machine, being the best car for the karting circuit, twisty road, Monaco hairpin, and the mountain twisty road. The Pontiac Fiero as well, being very impressive, being one of the cheaper cars to use, 27, and I'm comparing it to 28s and 29s. It is a very strong car, still being the best option for the G-Force as well as the car park. It is very strong on the slalom, only loses out to the Mighty Boy, so it is a very impressive car. Obviously we get to see some mainstays as well, like the Mighty Boy. The Mighty Boy remains, as you can see, it is the best hairpin, it is the best slalom, it is the best mountain hairpin, as well as city streets medium, and the Nissan Note on the city streets small, also the fast circuit. So the Note and the Mighty Boy, those 2 cars obviously are going to stay around. Now we talk about mid performance. Now I don't mean medium ground clearance, that's going to be MED. Mid is kind of like mid RQ. And as you can see, I feel like the Nissan 240SX has always been like the underdog car. I don't see a lot of people using it, and I don't know why, because when it comes to, middle range, like mid-range RQ for uncommon, the 240SX is incredibly dominant. It's insane, especially for hybrid cars. So we're not talking about twisty specialists. Twisty specialists is cars like the Slingshot and things that we saw in the past in the last slide, but this one is more of like your hybrid cars with decent handling but decent 0 to 60s. And out of all those hybrids, that 240SX is the best one. The Morgans, they got nothing on that NSX, and not NSX, sorry, 240SX. I put the Morgans in here, didn't really change much. I even put some of my own times on the Ford Bathurst Cobra, but as you can see, that seems to be the worst one there. And as you can see, there are some times missing, but let's be honest, if the Ford Falcon is not going to beat the Nissan 240SX on the twisty circuit, for example, there's no way it's going to beat it on slalom and twisty road, because it just handles less. The main thing about that Falcon was that it just had a lower 0 to 60, but it doesn't seem like it's very good. So yeah, that 240SX is still incredibly strong. Now let's move on to rares. All right, so let's talk about rares, baby. Where's that photo? It's like slowly. Do you see this? It's like slowly loading. All right, well, when that loads, I guess we'll look at the additions and eliminations real quick. So we say hello to 4 cars and we say goodbye to 4 cars. So we say hello to the Panda car from Amalfi Coast. We say hello to the Electric Shadow edition from Enter the Black Forest. We say hello to the Janetta G40 Junior from Lock to Lock, and we say hello to the X90. We'll talk to you to the X90 in a bit. We also say goodbye to 4 cars, all getting directly replaced by the 4 cars that we just mentioned: the Defender 110, the Bluebird, the Chrysler 200 convertible, as well as the Wing Road. Let's see if that photo loaded. Yes, it did. All right, so as you can see, only 4 changes. So a lot of the cars kind of stayed the same. As you can see, the drag meta has not changed when it comes to rares. Your best options are still the Hemi-Cuda. The only changes to the cars were the RQ. Hemi-Cuda used to be 33, now it's 36. It's still dominated by the Hemi-Cuda, the Ghibli SS, and the Maserati Bora. And obviously, I want to take, if you haven't realized already, guys, Blossom Choice does not count prize cars, okay? I know that Firebird is ridiculously strong, but we do not count prize cars for Blossom Choice. So that fast meta, still the same thing: Ghibli, Bora, Hemi-Cuda. These 3 cars over here, those are your rare dragsters, right? You want a rare dragster for wet conditions, then you have the Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Let's talk about twisty meta for rare cars. Hasn't changed as well. You want to go for the Opel GT concept, the Opel Manset. Well, I guess it's changed a little bit because there's the introduction of the Janetta G40 now, but that doesn't reduce the value of the Demon Roadster and the MX-5. These 2 cars are still incredibly insane. Medium ground clearance meta for rares, nothing has changed. Best option for low RQ, Dodge, for high RQ rares, Dodge Hornet. Best option for low RQ medium ground clearance rares, you want to go with either the Lumina or the Vauxhall Chevette HSR. And obviously low RQ dragsters for the rare, you want to go with the Cobra MKI, as well as the Eunice for low RQ wet meta for the rare, if you get what I mean. Like, you want to use the Eunice. So yeah, a lot of these have not changed, but let's talk about the 4 new additions and the 4 eliminations. So we start off with the Star Duels once again, and as you can see, the Panda car kind of just blows out the Bluebird and the Defender out of the water, and the main reason is that, you know, the Panda car is just a better car. So introducing the Panda car and taking away both the Bluebird and the Defender, both of them still being very, very good cars, they're just not as good as the Panda car. And the Panda car is the cheapest RQ car to use as well. It's just crazy to see what lightweight performance, decent handling, and 4-wheel drive can do. Hutch will never learn how powerful that actually is of a combination. We also say goodbye to the Chrysler 200 convertible. It used to be the best hybrid performance standard tire car with medium ground clearance, but now that has been overtaken by the Mini Electric Shadow, which is just better by almost every metric besides the fast circuit. Now, moving on, I think we have another Star Duel. That is indeed the Janetta. So the Janetta was a really good one. Some people were saying that it was going to replace a Demon Roadster. I'm sorry that this photo is kind of blurry. I don't know why. A lot of people were saying, or some were going to say that it was going to replace the Demon Roadster, but when you can see it, when it fights against the Demon Roadster, it's kind of split 50-50, you know? Demon Roadster is still best in the twisty circuit, still best in the fast circuit, and the rolling versions, the Monaco hairpin. What I'll tell you is this: the G40 Junior is the super twisty car. The car park, the slalom, anything that has more turns, that doesn't even have a straight. The Demon Roadster is more of a hybrid rare, where it requires a little bit more MRA, a little bit more speed, but still has a lot of turns. That's where the Demon Roadster is going to be the best car. And then the BBR Turbo is kind of a mix. It's in between the Demon Roadster and the G40 Junior, where it kind of takes the hairpin road, the karting circuit, the twisty road, so things that are twisty but not as twisty as the car park, and not as lengthy, or I guess not as twisty as like a twisty circuit, for example. You see what I mean? When more and more cars are added to top drives, the table has to be shared with more and more representatives. So you're gonna see a lot more like this. Back in the day, before American Frontier, the BBR would have had gold everything. It would have been the best in everything. But now it has to share the table with the Demon. Now it has to share the table with the G40. But that doesn't mean that the BBR is bad. The fact that it still takes golds is very, very impressive. And then obviously we have the Opel Manta. I mean, it's 36 and it's coming up against the 39s as the best car for the G-Force and the indoor karting. Like, bro, that's freaking insane. And of course, the Opel GT concept, it doesn't really win anything. But then again, you know, for a 36 RQ car to remain that competitive as it is with a bunch of 39s and 38s is very, very impressive. Sometimes you got to save some of that RQ, and that Opel GT is the car to use. Moving on now, why do we say goodbye to the Wing Road and hello to the Suzuki? Thanks to Lee. As you can see over here, the X90 is your better option, better for the city streets, small, the twisty road, as well as the Monaco G-Force, the slalom, the karting, the hairport, the hairpin, the G-force. I mean, the Wing Road is still a fantastic car, but that Suzuki, man, it's good, man. It's creeping up. It's good. All right, now let's talk about wet twisty meta. And as you can see, the MX-5 is still dominant. I mean, the Shadow Edition is really strong. City Street small and medium, definitely replacing the Chrysler. But the MX-5 is just the best for the twisty still. I mean, that Lotus 7 twin cam from Lock to Lock, it has nothing on the MX-5. The Holden Cruise has decent handling as well, but it has nothing against the MX-5. What is very impressive though is that the Elan, being super cheap at RQ34, still the best car for the slalom, and it's actually really competitive. You bring it down, you take away like all the RQ36 plus cars, that Elan is going to be your best option. That as well as the Mazda Eunice Roadster. So those two are Blossom choice for that low RQ representation. And then next up we have the Laguna Coupe, which is my go-to low ground clearance standard tire rare. As you can see, best for the Monaco hairpin, fast circuit rolling, all that kind of stuff. The faster stuff, you can rely on the Laguna Coupe. Now moving on, now the medium ground clearance twisty, like I said, nothing has changed. Literally nothing has changed. The Dodge Hornet remains the only and sole dominant force. I put in all and the best Savannah had to offer, and nothing could get close to the dominance of the Dodge. All right, moving on now, low RQ rare twisty, and as you can see, it's an old PL15 photo because nothing much has changed. You kind of just want to stick to the Renault. The Twizy is the car to go for. All right, moving on to rare drag performance, nothing much has changed as well. I put in the Firebird in here, although I say that, you know, prize cars are not included, but I do want to show you how strong that Firebird is. But it also is a good way to showcase how strong the other cars are as well. The Ghibli as well, taking that 1 mile. Actually, if you put in the Hemi-Cuda, I just realized that the Hemi-Cuda was not in this list. Why did not put the Hemi-Cuda in this? Hemi-Cuda actually wins the quarter mile. Hemi-Cuda is the better car in the quarter mile than the Firebird. So the Hemi-Cuda is in Blossom choice. That's the main thing. It's not it's in the Blossom choice list. So it's a very, very strong car. And obviously the Maserati Bora is the super like high speed car. 0 to 150, 0 to 170 test bowl. That's the best car to go for. So all very, very strong cars. But once again, you know, I put in cars like the Morgan Plus E and the Morgan Plus 4. I mean, none of them could get close. Some of they're even slower than the RQ31 Cobra AC, so, or AC Cobra, however way you want to call it. So yeah, nothing has changed much in the drag meta for rares. Now you go on to super rares. Gotta say, I used to hate super rares, but I kind of like them a little bit more, and I feel like the main reason is because super rares are kind of being more like ultra rares now, because a lot of ultra rares went down to super rares. So basically what used to be ultra rares are now considered super rares, so it kind of translates to the performance as well. A lot of cars stay the same. There are some changes. If I remember correctly, I think there are about 6 changes, but the cars that do stay the same, obviously the Charger RT and the Miura Roadster. These are the 2 cars that you want to use for your low RQ super rare drags. Charger RT for the short drags, Miura Roadster for the test bowl and the 1 mile, and then obviously nothing much has changed for the long drags. With the high RQ, you want to just stick with the Aston Martin DB3S. The Lotus Elite Sprint remains the dominant force for twisty super rare cars. I will be showing you a timesheet for that as well. Caterham 7160, still a very strong standard tire car, very, very, really good. Just all very strong cars. All right, let's get into it. So I'm gonna show you the additions. I say 6, right? Yes. So we say hello to the Fulvia Coupe, Abarth Rally, Frontier Attack, Ginetta G40 Cup, the Alfa Romeo Brera, as well as the Cadillac Escalade, and we say goodbye to the Mercedes G500, which turned out to be a massive disappointment. Wow, I had such high hopes for the G500, but 27 MRA on that car. I mean, come on, how dirty can you do Mercedes? We also say goodbye to the Audi TT, Mazda Jota, Renault R20, the Ford Escort, and the MG Maestro Turbo. No, Sam, I am so sorry. I know you love that MG, man. All right, let's talk about time. So we say hello to the Lancia and the Fiat because they are just the better options to use. To the Ford is now crap, so we say goodbye to the Ford. And then the Frontier Attack is just the better option compared to the Renault R20. As you can see, the Frontier Attack is just a better car on basically almost everything. So those are the cars that are being added to Blossom Choice. Now let's talk about twisty performance, because obviously there was a lot of hype surrounding the Ginettas, like that RQ47 G40R, for example. But as you can see, that Lotus Elise dominance remains the same. Still the best car for the car park, the G-Force, the hairpin, the indoor car. It's a clean sweep. congratulations, the Lotus Elite Sport is still godlike. What I will say though, that the Janetta did make it. This Janetta G40 made it. The Cub made it, but the R didn't make it because, well, tell you what, man, at least the RQ43 card could at least get a tie with the 47. The 47 couldn't even do that. So at least the G40 Cup, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bargain. It's a great bargain. And really, the G40 doesn't really compete with the Elise, in my opinion. It competes with the Yota. It competes with the Lotus Elise 1.6. It competes with the A-Bar 124 GT. And obviously the Yota, the Mazda Yota, used to be Blossom Choice. Well, that's taken out now because the better car to use is indeed the G40 Cup. It's a better car on the hairpin. It's a better car in the G-Force. It's a better car in the car park when you compare the 43s and the 44s together. Also showcasing this Morgan Roadster, which is pretty horrible in the twisty conditions, but hey, it's actually pretty good in fast circuit. So, you know, that's one thing that I did consider about putting into Blossom Choice for those fast circuit times. But like I said, for one track set, just not good enough anymore, Chief. All right, moving on now. Hybrid performance. So the best car is indeed the Brera. Now, when I mean hybrid performance, I kind of mean a car that I can use in the wet conditions as well as the dry. And as you can see, the Brera is the best option to use, even comparing it to cars that are higher in our queue. Now, bear in mind, this Holden HSV Coupe, I do believe, is low ground clearance, but the Alpha is better, mainly because it has better handling. So it's the best option for the car park, the G-Force, karting circuit, and slalom. But mainly, this Brera is automatically replacing the Audi TT, because this Audi TT used to be Blossom Choice. Obviously, they added the Holden, they added the Alfa Romeo 164 in the last two updates, but the Brera is the king of the crop. So moving on now to wet performance, and as you can see, this is where I showcase the mainstays, so cars that didn't really get eliminated, the cars that just stayed from the last edition. That would be the Legacy. Legacy is still ridiculously strong. The Ford Explorer also still very strong. Monaco hairpin, twisty road, as well as the hairpin road, as well as the XT. The Super XT is still a very strong car as well, mainly because it's very light, four-wheel drive, best car for the G-Force, as well as the slalom. I did decide to add in the 42 Audi. Just want to give it a little bit of a highlight, just because it is a pretty good RQ42. But it's nothing compared to the big boys. Alright, moving on now. Ultra Rares, baby. One of my favorite. Now, there are a lot of new additions to the Ultra Rare category, but let's talk about the cars that stayed first, right? So, for that low RQ twisty meta, we have the Circuit EV. It still stayed, but its partner in the Lotus Elise 135, unfortunately, is not with us anymore, as you can see. Low RQ Dragster, the king, the Dodge Charger 3 remains. Medium ground clearance beast, like the Magan 275 and the Suzuki Ignis, they also remain, and standard tire beasts in the Lavoric, the Kazashi, and the Honda Legend all remain as well. But now let's talk about the new boys and the elimination. So new additions, 8 new cars. We say hello to the Alfa Romeo 4C Spider, the Holden Effigy. Now, for the purpose of the fact that I cannot pronounce the Effigy, I'm gonna call it Fiji water car. We have the BMW 420 or the BMW Reese Edition. We have the Mini John Cooper Works, the Fiat Abarth, the Janetta G40, the 840, and the Nissan Skyline R33. Thank you to Oliver for that. I'm surprised. I thought Korn would be the one that would call for the R33. And then obviously we say goodbye. This is a big one. This is a big one. There it is. We say goodbye to the Lotus 340R. That is one of the oldest cars of the Blossom Choice collection. The Elite Sport as well. These two cars, some of the oldest cars of the Blossom Choice collection. And we have to say our farewells to the car. The reality of the 340R is this: until today, it remains a very, very strong car. But since PL15, since the addition of the Zenith, I have to be completely honest, even though the 340R is cheaper to use now, although it's still really good, I never use it anymore. It's sad. I never use the 340R anymore. If I can use the Zenith, I'd rather just use the Zenith. If I have to save a lot of RQ, I'd rather just use a Dodge Circuit EV, because I get to save 10 more RQ than if I was to use the 340R. So I don't use it anymore. And in my opinion, it's not worthy of being Blossom Choice. It hurts. It hurts. There was a time when we talked about the best Ultra Rares in the game, and it included the Lancia 037 and the Lotus 340R. Well, the 340R isn't there, and the Lancia 037 isn't even an Ultra anymore. And of course, the Mitsubishi Evo 4 isn't even an Ultra anymore. It's crazy. It's an end of a chapter. So everyone, let's just have a moment of silence. Let's press F in the chat or in the comments for the Lotus 340R. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now let's go back to the times. All right, so first one, Star Duels. Why is the Delta out? Delta is out Cooper Works is in. It is the better car. The Delta has always been known for the medium ground clearance and the dragster front wheel drive mainstay. But the thing is, it can't even beat the mini John Cooper Works on half of the drags anymore. And if I put the twisty times out, the John Cooper Works is going to blitz the Auto Delta everywhere. So goodbye, Auto Delta. And also, this was a pretty interesting star duel. Usually when I do a star duel, it means that a new car comes in and the challenger would usually die off. Not in this case. The 420i is a very strong car of 89 handling, but that 0 to 60 is just truly atrocious. And we put it up against the Honda Legend, and the reality is a 50-50. So I've decided to blossom choice both of them instead. As you can see, the 420 is the better car for the car park, the G-Force, slalom, twisty road, and twisty circuit, but the Honda Legend is still the better car for the fast circuit, the small and the medium, the hairpin road, and the karting circuit. And I think the biggest thing here is that the Legend is still the better car for the medium, because the medium city streets is usually favored for the car that handles better. But that's the thing, the Honda Legend doesn't handle bad at all. 85 is very impressive, so both of them deserve blossom choice. Congratulations. Okay, moving on to fast performance now, and as you can see, total dominance. After the BMW M5's upgrade to the MRA, it blows everything out of the water. The BMW M5 eliminates the XKR75 Jag. This used to be the best car for the fast circuit and some of the drags. I've eliminated that now. The M5 is just unholy. It's ridiculous. It destroys everything. It's not even close. It is like 30 milliseconds faster than everything that you see over here. It's crazy how good this thing is. And then obviously shout out to Spiker Laviolet, still best car for testable. Alright, moving on now. We're gonna talk about twisty performance, and as you can see, it is literally dominated by two cars, the Maxi and the Zenus. Those two are still the best. Now, why is the Spider? Why did I blossom choice the Alpha Spider? It's because in my opinion, the Alpha Spider is the best all-rounder. If I didn't have to use super twisty cars, if I want a car that loses to 50 in anything, up to max epics, like, it's got a great hairpin time, it's got a great indoor karting time. I can use it in the rain. I can't use the Maxi in the rain, for example, and it even beats the Zenus in the hairpin. Like, I think that the 4C is a car that I use very, very, very often. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to pure twisty performance, nothing is going to triumph. If I remove the 306 Maxi, then the Zenus would be winning everything. So yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate. The 340i is a fantastic car, but there's nothing. And I put this one Morgan here to kind of represent lock to lock, as well as the Lotus X Siege. There were a lot more Morgans in this list, but I kind of deleted all of them because I didn't want to show too much bullshit. But yeah, the Morgans suck. All right, moving on. The Fiji Water. Let's talk about Fiji Water real quick. So obviously everybody knows that the M5 is ridiculously strong. We don't need to talk about that too much already, right? The M5 is amazing. But the Fiji Water is a lot cheaper to use, and honestly, it's kind of just there to directly compete with the TVR Tamora, and that's why the Tamora has been eliminated. Because, like I said, I think I said this in the preview video when we didn't know what the MRA of the Fiji Water car was going to be. I said that if it had better MRI than the Tamora, it is going to kill the Tamora, and as you can see, it did. Not only does it have better MRA, it has a higher top speed. It actually has the joint highest testable time paired with the Seat Laviolet, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, Fiji Water car, congratulations, welcome to the Blossom Choice family. Moving on to saloon performance, this one I just wanted to see how good the new cars were, because obviously, like, Savannah brought a lot of saloons, right? And I wanted to see if any of them could actually hold a candle to the M5 as well as the BMW 840i. The answer is no. Just no. I mean, this one right here, the FPV F6 is actually pretty decent, but still, you know, the 840i is the better car to use. It's the best option for G-Force slalom, and this is a car that's RQ 59 for crying out loud. It's a 6 RQ, or what is it, 5 RQ difference from, you know, the top cars like the Scat Pack and the M5. But obviously the M5 is still the best car to use for a twisty circuit even, which is crazy. Fast circuit and fast circuit rolling. And then the S65 AMG for the city streets small, and the 840i again for the city streets medium. So I blossom choice the 840i. It is just too strong and it's so cheap to use. And the M5 was just always going to be there. Scat Pack doesn't really make it, but like I said, this was a timing. This was really just, I just really wanted to see how good the new Savannah cars were, and the answer is not that strong at all. Okay. Moving on is the R33 Dominance, and as you can see, when it comes to performance tire 4-wheel drive ultra rares, nothing beats the R33 in the dry and in the wet. It actually is quite crazy at how strong this is for, you know, low ground clearance 4-wheel drive performance tire cars. Obviously not every car in this comparison is low ground clearance. There are not a lot of them, to be fair. The main ones would be to look at would be the R33, R32, and the Lancia Hyena. The rest of these are medium ground clearance, but I mean, dude, it's incredible to see how much in its own element the R33 actually is. So for the first time ever, I'm putting the R33 in Blossom Choice. It didn't really get any buffs recently, but I kind of just never seen how strong this thing actually was. So shout out to Oliver for pointing that out to me. All right, moving on to epics now. I think there are 5 new additions. So we say hello to a lot of mainstays, right? The Corsa stays, the 7270 stays as, you know, your best standard tire rear-wheel drive car in the entire freaking game. iPace stays, and then we say hello to some new cars. We'll say hi to them in a bit. The Raptor stays, the G63 stays, the Bristol stays. You know me, I love the Bristol. It kind of is like the Aston Martin Bulldog for ultra rares, but obviously the Bulldog is a price car. The Bristol isn't. The Bristol is a car that you can get, and it helped me a lot in the prelims as well that just ended. It's a very, very strong car. But let's say hello to the 5 new cars for the epics. We say hi to the Giulia GTA, the E400 4MATIC, the Ginetta G56, the BMW iX, as well as the Ginetta G50 GT4. Saying hello to 5 also means that we say goodbye to 5 cars, and that is the Emerge E, the Giulia Quadrifoglio, the Diaz Numero 9, the Exige Cup 260, as well as the Celine S1. So let us begin with our star duels once again. Sorry the photo isn't very HD, but as you can see, the Ginetta just beats the Lotus everywhere. It also beats the Emerge everywhere, so kind of a double whammy. The introduction of the Ginetta means the death of the Emerge as well as the Exige. Now I do understand that the Emerge is performance tire, so it is a very useful car still, but when it comes to twisty, you know, non-wet, and obviously twisty super wet, I mean, you want to be using standard tire cars anyway, so the Ginetta is the better car in my opinion. Shout out to Lee, he had that photo. And then obviously we have the Alpha GTA just beating the Giulia Quadrifoglio by every single metric. It is a domination, to be honest. Now the M3 competition saloon actually beats the Giulia on anything fast. The only reason why the M3 competition, as much as I love it, doesn't fit in Blossom Choice is because although it beats the GTA in anything fast, it isn't the fastest saloon out there. That still goes to the Charger, so the Charger is still Blossom Choice. And then obviously all these 3 cars actually made it to Blossom Choice. The iX is kind of the short dragster because of the incredibly low 0 to 60. The Spiker is the long dragster. So kind of like think about it this way, right? The iX is like the epic version of my 1969 Charger at RQ42. The Spiker is like the Lamborghini Miura. So they kind of go in hand, right? One's for the short drags, one for the long drags. The D12 Spiker, really, really strong. Still best on the 1 mile and best on the test bowl. And it's one of those cars where I thought about it. I was like, wow, I would even use this car on the dry test bowl because like that top speed is incredible. And of course the Mercedes-Benz AMG G63 doesn't win anything here besides the hill climb, which is impressive to be fair, but it doesn't win anything else. But you know, that's fine. It's really, really cheap to use. It's still 10 RQ cheaper than everything else. All right, moving on now to the best all-rounder. Now the best all-star all-rounder in PL15 went to the Celine S1, but as you can see, that is no longer the case. The best car to use now is indeed that Ginetta G50 GT4. It is incredible, this car. Best car for car park, G-force, undercutting, karting, slalom, twisty sector, twisty road, absolute dominance, truly. Now this is against all what I like to consider to be the hybrid cars, like the, you know, cars that have, you know, decent MRA or low 0 to 60s or really good handling. And as you can see, the Ginetta is just the best of the bunch. There is going to be another comparison for just twisty epics, but yeah, this slideshow or this timer sheet, whatever you want to call it, is just a representation of why I decided to add the Ginetta and remove the Celine S1. And once again, like Lee, he showed this to me. He told me that, you know, the Ginetta was obviously a lot better. Okay, next up, all-rounder, and then we move on to fast performance. So fast epics, and as you can see, it's still total domination. Like the Arash is still the best car for absolutely everything besides the test bowl. The best test bowl car now goes to the Volkswagen Golf GTI. But as you can see, I've only decided to Blossom Choice 2 cars. One goes to the Arash and the other one goes to the Charger. Why? Charger, although isn't the best dragster here, still remains competitive, still the best dragster for many niches: American, saloons, and then regular saloons, 5-seaters as well. Still a very, very, very strong car. And obviously, you know Hutch loves their 5-seaters. They love their saloons. So, still a very, very strong car. And once again, as you can see, it still destroys the M3 competition. So that's why the M3 competition didn't make that Blossom Choice list. If the M3 competition was a better car, then it would have overtaken the Charger. But the answer was no. And I'm happy because I'm a Dodge guy. Okay. Moving on now is Twisty Performance, and as you can see, it's still dominated by the KTM Expo, so that's why the KTM Expo is still Blossom Choice. Best car for car park, G-Force, hairpin, indoor karting circuit, Twisty Road, Canyon Tour. Shout out to the Lotus Exige GT3 for being the best car for the slalom, though. That is very, very strong. It is an honorable mention, I would say, because it is cheaper to use than every car above it. I'm also putting the Ginetta in here anyway, but I still think that the Ginetta is still more of a not a fast, but a hybrid car, and that's why, you know, it is the best fast circuit of the bunch. Still very, very strong, and also shout out to the indoor karting best time on the Exige, which is very impressive. It ties with the KTM Expo R for 1 RQ cheaper as well. Okay, now we move on to the wet. The DS Numero. Yes, rest in peace to the DS Numero 9, man. That car is now almost completely useless. It is only just a slalom specialist. It went from being a dominant force in the wet meta for epic cars to just being like a slalom specialist. So I've decided to now, well, obviously the I-Pace stays. The I-Pace has always been like, you know, in a hairpin, twisty circuit, fast circuit. And as you can see, there's a comparison of 233 and 323. I decided to go 233 on both of mine solely because you see City Streets small and City Streets medium way more than Monaco, hairpin, and Canyon Tour. And also, you know, it's the better option for the twisty circuit and the fast circuit and the tire on the road. So 233, in my opinion, is the way to go for the I-Pace. But obviously you can't go wrong with 323 as well. And then obviously we say goodbye to the DS Numero 9, but I've added the Mercedes-Benz E400, which is now your best option for the karting circuit, the twisty circuit rolling, the twisty road even, as well as the Monaco G-Force. So very, very strong car, very, very impressive. Also shout out to the Cadillac CT6. For the longest time, I actually wanted to contemplate if I would add the CT6 back to the Blossom Choice family where it used to be before it got eliminated by the DS Numero 9, but I decided that it just slightly didn't make the market. It came down to the Mercedes-Benz and the CT6, and honestly speaking, I choose the Mercedes-Benz over the CT6. Moving on now, legendaries, baby. We start off with, you know, obviously everything that you see over here. We have some mainstays like Müller, the Porsche 962C, the Cadillac 16, and of course the Viper ACR. Now, one thing I want to say, guys, Blossom Choice. You know what? So serious, I'm going to bring my camera back. Okay, very, very serious note. Blossom Choice is unbiased. Absolutely 99.99% unbiased. Okay, I want this to be an informational video where you guys can really have, you know, the best of the best. But there is one thing about Blossom Choice, and this has been, you know, the thing since the first ever release of Blossom Choice, like 3.5 years ago. Okay, this car will never, ever leave Blossom Choice. I do not care. That is my baby Hollywood, the Viper ACR. That will always be Blossom Choice. At the end of the day, that car is me. It literally just is me. When you think of the Viper ACR in the game, think of me. Okay, that is me. That car is never, ever going to leave Blossom Choice. It could be the worst car in the game. I don't care. It's staying there. Now, here's the thing about the ACR. Back in the day when Blossom Choice was super new, when it just released, it actually was genuinely Blossom Choice. Now it isn't. But I don't care. It's staying there forever. All right, starting off with additions, we say hello to 5 new cars: the Viper SRT10 ACR, the Mercedes GT4, the Taycan, the Centenario, as well as the Regera. And we say goodbye to 5 legendaries: the Superlight, the M5 Competition, the Panamera Turbo, the Lancer Evo 10, and the Agera Final. I swear, every time I make new Blossom Choice, I'm always swapping the Agera and the Regera. Something always changes with those 2 cars. Okay. Number 1, the AMG GT4, directly replacing the M5 Competition, just a better car to use everywhere, as you can see. Moving on now is going to be why I decided to add the Regera, and as you can see, the Regera is actually better than the Agera Final everywhere. So yes, as you can see, better on the quarter, the half, the 1 mile, 0 to 100, 120, and even the fast circuits as well. I understand that the Agera Final handles better, who the hell cares? If I want to use a twisty high-end legendary, I'm going to use Mula. So obviously that had to go. So the Agera final has to go. The Agera has entered the chat. Next up, we're going to be talking about how good this ACR actually is. When it comes to RQ81, RQ80 legendaries, nothing actually comes close to this Viper. It actually is the best option for the car park, the hairpin, the indoor card, the twisty circuit, twisty road, twisty circuit rolling. It is ridiculously strong, and it hits so far above its weight as well. Even against the Super Leggera, there's 2 RQ higher. Well, now it's 1 RQ higher. It's still a ridiculously strong car. Okay, moving on to all-round performance. Obviously, when it comes to like twisty cars, then I still want to go with Mula. It's the best car for the car park, the hairpin, the karting circuit, twisty road. The Porsche is still the best car for the fast circuit and the fast circuit rolling. And obviously, the Zonda are pretty impressive for the best car for the indoor karting. Now, obviously, the Furai is also Blossom Choice, and as you can see, it is the best car for the G-Force in the slalom. So out of every car that you see here, the Blossom Choice ones are the Porsche GT2 RS Club Sport, which is Mula, a 935 Porsche, as well as the Mazda Furai. Now, moving on, I think it's all-round performance again. Yeah, this is continued because I wanted to show you more of the 935's performance. Best car for all-round performance once again, so not a drag specialist, not a twisty specialist. 935 is the best car for the quarter mile, half mile, 0 to 100, 0 to 150 as well. Zonda is still pretty impressive though, and strangely enough, the Mula is the best car for, oh, that's because there is no time for the 0 to 120 on the 935. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, moving on now is medium ground clearance performance, and when it comes to City Streets medium, the best City Streets medium and small car in the game goes to the Taycan Turbo, and that's why it's taking over the Panamera. Really, it really just came down to these, like the City Street small and medium. If the whatever car that was going to be the best in the entire game for this track set, these 2 track sets were going to be Blossom Choice, and the answer is the Taycan. So the Taycan takes over the Panamera Turbo. We obviously don't have a lot of Panamera Turbo times over here, so maybe it might be better than the Taycan Turbo on some of these occasions. But right now, as you can see, the Taycan Turbo S is very, very dominant. Best car in hairpin, karting, twisty circuit, even beats the Panamera, twisty road, as well as the fast circuit. So it's a ridiculously strong car. And then obviously another car that I decided to Blossom Choice is the Peugeot 206 WRC. I mean, this is the car basically being the best option for car park G-Force slalom, and like this is an off-road tire car. I'm comparing this against performance tire cars, dude, and it's able and also cheaper to use to most of these cars, and it's able to just stay competitive. It's very, very impressive, and this isn't even showcasing the off-road performance where it should belong. So the 206 WRC is a very, very, very strong car, and that is going to be it for today, guys. So that is the entirety of Blossom Choice. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, guys, if you want to see, you can pause the video at any time if you want to see the entire list of all the cars. But once again, guys, if you would like to see everything compressed together, if you want a link to this presentation as well, I will have it in my Discord server. So feel free to consider to join the Patreon family and join this ever-growing community of Top Drives fanatics. But of course, guys, I will also be posting some of these photos on my Instagram, so do check that out as well. And one more disclaimer, just a slight dig at Liam. Liam, shout out to you, man. He said that the neon was pretty hard to see, so I changed some of the fonts. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. That is the entirety of Blossom Choice. I hope you enjoyed it. Everyone has been asking for this for a very, very long time, and I do appreciate that you guys really look to me for this kind of information, and that's why I work so hard to make sure that none of this information is bad. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and let me bring my camera back out, and Blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight